My guest today is a Gen 2 at just 3 years old. Told his parents he was going to be a professional soccer player. So did I, but the difference is he made it come true. And it all started around the time he was 8. He was playing on one of St. Louis's most elite youth teams, represented the United States at 3 different age groups before making his senior debut and scoring his first US senior goal on the very same night. He'd already had 3 seasons at Werder Bremen before he was old enough to buy a celebratory 6-pack back home. And then he moved to the beautiful, beautiful football club and city of Norwich, where he's been the team's top scorer for the past 2 seasons. I was just joking with him that it felt like at times this season, every Saturday, it just seemed like Twitter would light up. It'd be like, oh my God, he scored again. I want to raise my Michelob Ultra to the forever winner of the Ballon d'Orange, an eternal champion of Emo's Pizza, who will be playing with the United States men in this summer's Copa América. It is a joy to welcome back Mr. Josh Sargent.
Hey Roger, thank you for having me.
It's bloody great to have you. Just tell us the one question the whole football world wants to know. How's your foot? How are you feeling? How are you doing, mate?
It's feeling good at the moment. Training. Oh, sorry. You're happy about it.
No,
I thought you were telling me 1 second.
No. I love you. Keep going.
All
you
good.
just told us the one thing we all want to hear. I'm celebrating, baby.
Yeah. It's feeling good at the moment. So it's kind of a day by day thing, but feeling good. Been training with the guys the past couple of days, and everything's going well. So hopefully it stays that way.
Oh, from your mouth or from your foot to God's ear. Josh, let's quickly go back to the beginning because your story's amazing. You were born in O'Fallon, Missouri, just outside of St. Louis, part of the mighty Scott Gallagher Soccer Club, same youth team that gave us New England Revs legend Taylor Twellman, MLS Ironman Will Bruin, and the American Dream himself, my friend, Mr. Tim Ream, who I believe joined the squad about 7 decades before you, back when the Gateway Arch was still under construction. Not only that, but when the US beat England in the 1950 World Cup, 5 players in that starting glorious 11 hailed from St. Louis. City's also produced Becky Sauerbrunn, 2-time World Cup winner, most unstoppable headband wearer since Daniel LaRusso. Josh, what makes St. Louis such an extraordinary soccer city? What's in those toasted Ravs?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of down-to-earth, hardworking people from the Midwest. And yes, St. Louis just has a lot of history, it seems like. And, it just seems like I said, a lot of people are just really hardworking there and will try to do whatever it takes, to get to the top.
And the style of footballer, I mean, the 1950 team, the legends, Tim Ream playing even before that. Like, what is it that it's like hardworking, dedicated? There's something very special about the football scene there.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's hard to pinpoint, exactly what it is, but there definitely is, that feeling around, no matter what club you're at in St. Louis, that's kind of the baseline. You got to be hardworking and have that, grit about you.
Oh, we will be getting back to that topic of American grit in a minute. But both of your parents were football players, both played in college. They signed you up for your first league when you were just 3. I love this, though. You were still too young for the team, so they had to say you were 4 on all the forms.
That's what they tell me, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, and I think that's known as the reverse Freddie Adu. And you scored 9 goals in your very first game. Little St. Charles County Shearer. Ensuring that some 4-year-old goalkeeper who's probably listening to this had to have years of therapy in the wake. But you played everything: baseball, basketball, American football, hockey, golf. Is there an alternate universe when where you're a starting shortstop for the Cardinals or teeing off at Pinehurst last weekend? Or was it always soccer front of mind for you?
Yeah, I feel like, I was pretty athletic and, like you said, played a lot of sports growing up. But I would say soccer, I don't know if it's just because my parents played, my older sister played as well. Kind of always seemed to be that, like, consistent one that was always, at the top. I feel like no matter what season it was, American football season, basketball season, this, that, I usually went through, well, basketball's my favorite now, baseball's my favorite, but soccer consistently, stayed at the top. And yeah, it was just, what I was best at. So I stuck with it.
And thank God, on behalf of the American viewing public, that you did. It's been some journey. Last time we spoke, 2018, you made the mistake of coming live on stage with us during a live show in St. Louis. You were so bloody young, Josh. I mean,
Yeah.
but you were playing in the Bundesliga, Werder Bremen, 3 seasons there with the senior team, scored 13 times before moving 700 miles west to join Norwich City in 2021. I believe you're having dinner with your then teammate Nick Volta-Made at the famous German-owned, German-born chain of Italian restaurants Vapiano, when your agent called, said the deal was done. You were going to the Premier Bloody League. Josh, take us into that moment when you got that phone call. What goes through your mind when you learned what your future was about to hold?
It's kind of a whirlwind. I mean, it all happens very fast in football. I feel like, yeah, from the time my agent told me that Norwich were interested to the time I actually got to Norwich and signed the papers, it was probably within 2 days. And it all happened so fast. But I always told people, it was my dream to play in the Prem. It's ultimately, where I want to end up. And yeah, I was just super happy and excited about the opportunity.
When you thought about the Premier League in those moments before you played the game, what players came to your mind that you'd thought about as young Josh Sargent? A striker, thinking about other goal scorers, the ones you modelled yourself after.
I mean, Rooney was definitely the guy, growing up that I kind of, liked watching and appreciated the way he played. He was, yeah, a big idol for me, I'd say, growing up.
What was it about him? Obviously, I mean, he was an aggressive ball of just clinical fury, impossible to ignore. But when you watched him, what did you see, Josh?
Yeah, I think, the goal scoring obviously attracted me, but also having that, grit and passion about him, just like kind of in a St. Louis way, I really liked, I think.
God, he would have been. I mean, in a way, Wayne Rooney is proper St. Louis, even as like genuinely one of the greatest Scouse footballers of all time. That connection, that working class sense of what the ethic of an athlete should be. And Norwich is also a remarkable place, very different. The writer Kazuo Ishiguro once taught in Norwich, called it the county of lost things, a magical place where every lost object will one day be found. I mean, it's beautiful, it's rural, the football team is everything in that community. And you were announced as a Canary August 2021. You made your debut for the new club in the opening game of the season against Liverpool. And the last time we spoke, you said that you were still adjusting to the speed of the play in the Bundesliga. The quote, every second, every play, you have to know what you're going to do before you get the ball. What did you have to learn technically, physically, when you joined the Premier League so that you were really ready to compete? And how long did it take?
I would say, yeah, in the Prem, it's even a further step up, like in terms of speed of play and whatnot. Everybody's faster, stronger, it seems like, but at the same time, the quality on the ball is insane. You feel like you make one mistake in the Prem, the team's going to go the other way and punish you for it. So you really have to focus on every touch, every pass, and yeah, it's not easy. Obviously, being a team that was just newly promoted, it's never going to be easy. It felt like a lot of defending that season, and yeah, wasn't the easiest, but overall, it was a great experience, obviously, playing in a league like that. And, you learn what player you have to become to make it in that league. So it was a good experience.
Which is why I love your story arc all the more, Josh, because it's not always been easy, but you are an incredibly tenacious human being. And even in the challenge of that first season, there were moments of wonder. I remember you scored your first Premier League goal, first 2 together, same game, January 2022 against Watford. Ended up winning 3-0. And at the final whistle, the travelling Norwich City supporters, it was a beautiful moment, started chanting USA, USA. Do you ever feel that there's an extra pressure on you as an American player to always kind of fight the remnants of whatever stigmas may still be about footballers from our nation, to show what you can do, to be an ambassador for this country and the depth of its talent when you're playing over there?
Definitely. I think there's a lot of us, right now in Europe that are trying to change the way that people, see us as being from the US. A lot of people don't initially take us as serious, I would say. But again, yeah, there's a lot of us over in Europe at the moment who are doing really well and trying to kind of change that, thought.
But you feel it. You do still like feel that Americanness even when you're over there, or is that evaporated at this point?
I feel like now I've pretty much earned the respect of a lot of Norwich fans, at least, from the past couple of seasons. But it was definitely, there were good moments in the first season, but also bad ones. So, yeah, thankfully that's passed. And like I said, I think I've earned a lot of respect from them.
I think so too. I am actually the proud owner of a Josh Sargent Sarge T-shirt from the Norwich City Club shop.
There
That
we
I can
go.
tell you,
That's what I like to hear.
I know exactly how many they sold. They
I
sold a
know what shirt
load.
you're talking about.
I've got it right here, but they love you. I mean, you are quite a cult hero there. And there's an old footballing adage: "Out of darkness cometh light." And Norwich were, as you say, relegated to the Championship, but it was there that you unveiled yourself as just a deeply potent finisher. You were the team scoring leader that season. I think 13 goals all comps. Last season, you were again Norwich's top scorer, 16 this time, despite missing about 4 months with an ankle injury. I mean, Josh, how much scoring goals is skill, and how much is it? You've talked about grit. How much is it the mentality, the swagger, the self-confidence that you can put the ball in the perfect spot, that the opposition could have like Marchamp in goal and you'd still slip it past all four of his arms?
Yeah, as a striker, you definitely need to have that, bit of arrogance and confidence in yourself. Um, but it's just really getting repetitions. The first few seasons of my career, I feel like I was playing on the wing or, not playing the right positions. Not saying I didn't get the chances at striker, and could have done better with them, but these last couple of years were the first couple of seasons where I was really getting a lot of reps at striker, and it's just very important. I was actually excited to go to the champ and get a lot of repetitions at striker and a chance to score a lot of goals, and I think it's really helped me. And yeah, I was very unfortunate, to get injured at the beginning of the season because already at the start, I feel like myself and the team were just clicking, doing really well. But luckily, after the injury, was able to kind of pick up right where I left off, and ending of the season wasn't very good with playoffs, but I think we definitely, had a good run.
Yeah, let's separate those two issues because goals have become an enormous part of the Josh Sargent story. But a terrible subplot has been that of injuries. You banged in 3 goals in Norwich's first 4 games last season, suffered an ankle injury against Huddersfield Town, required surgery, kept you out until late December. When you returned, it was like honestly, it was like watching someone who made a New Year's resolution just to be unstoppable, which I love. You scored on January 1st against Southampton, added 12 more league goals on top of it. Norwich got their way into the Championship playoffs this year. They faced Leeds in the semi-finals, and cruelly, you suffered another ankle injury in the first leg. Tried to battle back in the away leg just 4 days later, but had to be subbed off at the half with the same issue. And Leeds rolled on in that game. Norwich City will remain in the Championship for a third straight season. How do you handle that emotionally? Do you just have to let yourself feel a disappointment before you're ready to go again? What does it feel like as a player as opposed to fans in that moment?
I mean, it's very frustrating, especially where we came from in the season. I think we were in 17th maybe at one point, and to do all that work to get back to the playoffs, play the football we were playing, for it to end like that it was tough. And, I think we can all look at ourselves and, realize we could have done better in those 2 games. But, yeah, it sucks. It was not fun. And I think it's one of those you got to just take a week or so off and just completely, shut off, get away from football, or just get with your family and do whatever else you can. And then just got to regroup and go again.
Some anger golf balls will no doubt hit with the Josh
100%.
Sargent driver. But on Friday, a different kind of emotion. for a fan base of a team that you support, because the official US men's national team roster was released. And it was magnificent. I've got to be honest, yours was the first name I looked for on print to be printed on that quite patriotic background of the squad announcement. Partly, I think, because of the devastating ankle injuries, partly because you've just not featured for this US team since the 2022 World Cup, when you played in all 3 of our group games. I imagine you've had the Copa América circled on your refrigerator calendar, or your mental refrigerator calendar, for months. What's it been like trying to balance between trying to protect yourself from re-injury while still pushing yourself to be fit enough for this tournament?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's been for a while now. I mean, pretty much ever since the World Cup, it's been, trying to find that balance of, should I push my ankle and maybe re-injure it, or should I rest? It's going back and forth, talking with everybody, my club, with national team, and yeah, it's been frustrating, obviously, not being able to come back in with the team for a long time now, just due to, small little injuries that are going on. So, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that they don't, keep coming back. After a big operation that I had, there's bound to be little things that, will piss my ankle off. But like I said, just doing everything I can. Came into camp for the friendlies not knowing how it was going to be. Unfortunately, didn't feel great at the beginning, so I've been putting in a lot of work here with the physios. They've been very good with me. We, made a lot of progress, and like I said, trained the last couple of days. Feels good. Luckily Greg has, put his faith in me to turn this around and, hopefully, get some good minutes in this tournament and, do really well with those minutes.
God willing, because this is the first time that you've been back in the United States camp since the World Cup 2022. Has anything changed during your time away, or are the vibes still the same?
In terms of the team, it's the same. I mean, it feels like it hasn't been a year, honestly, or however long it's been. I mean, the guys that, I was really good friends with before are still the exact same. The culture is still the same. Everybody is, very close with each other. Everybody's, has the same mindset. We all know what we're about. We all know what this team wants to do. And yeah, I'm excited to go into this tournament and see what we can do.
Can I ask, when you are away, as you were for the withdrawing from the US squad before the Nations League finals, missing another tournament, another camp away from your American teammates, do you stay in touch with them? Do you stay connected while you're away? Or does it feel a bit like being Tom Hanks in Castaway? You're just off on your own little space on your recovery island?
No, I mean, I won't keep in touch with everybody, but I have my small group of guys. Like usually when I'm here, I hang out with Brendan, Gio, and Joe. So we usually, keep in touch somewhat with each other.
God bless. Joe Scally came on this show, another human being who made a terrible mistake, and he told us that you, Brendan, and Gio, and him have got a WhatsApp group together.
Yeah,
and that you,
we do.
Josh Sargent, spent the 3 days leading into the Brazil game just utterly peppering his WhatsApp with every single devastating Vinicius Junior dribble.
That was not just me. That was all of us. But he had a really good game, so, props to him.
By the way, were you doing this out of love, or were you trying to terrify the poor bloke?
No, a little bit of both. We were just messing with him, sending him videos of Vinny dancing or whatever it is after scoring a goal, and just got a good laugh out of it. So it was good.
Josh Sargent, I've got to tell you, it was a risky gambit, but it worked.
It worked. He was locked in and ready to go, so I think it prepared him.
He's got the Sargent, Giorena, Brendan group chat to thank for that.
Right.
You got an incredible future in coaching. I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this, Josh. You just terrify, petrify all of your charges, and just there can be no stopping them.
Maybe it's the new way.
In all seriousness, the whole time you've been an international, it feels like there's been a gaggle of strikers all battling for the number 9 jersey. And there's still a number of you. Although the players have changed since you were last in this camp. This tournament, there's Folarin Balogun, there's Ricardo Pepi, there's Coventry City's Hadji Wright, who could be playing on the wing. What have you seen from them in training and in the friendlies? Where Flo got the start against Colombia, Ricardo started against Brazil. Can you describe in your own words what you see in each of them, striker to striker? Because they all offer different strengths. Balogun first, then Pepe, Hadji. How would you describe each of their play?
I mean, yeah, I think we're all, different in our own ways. I think Flo is very good at, getting in behind from what I've seen. It's a big strength of his. Pepe is big, strong number nine, good finishing, good at holding up the ball. Hadji has been playing a bit more on the wing, but had a very good season. At Coventry, I could see what he was doing. So it's good competition. I mean, all of us push each other. All of us know what we're about. We're all, in good leagues, scoring a lot of goals. So it's all good, healthy competition.
How do you describe your own game, Josh? Because I know the Venn diagram of all three of you isn't just like one big circle.
I would like to think I'm a little bit of both. I'm a big, strong nine who can hold up the ball. I can come down and connect the team, but I also think, getting in behind was a big element that I added to my game this season. So yeah, maybe, a bit of a hybrid of them both.
Well, what's the competition really like between you, the four of you who could play lead striker? Is it a friendly, good-natured battle at times in training? Is it a little bit more intense as it probably should be? You're all intense competitors at the heart of you.
I don't think any one of us has any, hard feelings towards one another. I think, like I said, it's good, healthy competition. All of us will joke and laugh with each other, but at the same time, we know we all want to start. So, like you said, it's we're all competitive, very competitive, but it's all, good fun.
I've just realised what we don't know is what Joe Scally was sending you in the WhatsApp group the other way. Which
yeah,
I'm not sure.
We don't have to talk about it.
There you go.
He's a character, so don't act like he's all innocent.
By the way, I am fascinated. Genuinely, in my own head, I'm like, it's one of those things I don't want to know. But I am fascinated by this. What's the biggest difference between training for club and country?
I think the biggest thing just coming into national team is you're not all together 24/7, even though it might feel like it, when we get back and we're training and laughing around, whatever, it feels like, we haven't been away from each other that long. But I think just coming in and everybody doing really well at club, which is why you're getting called into national team. And then, for some positions at least, it's up in the air. Nobody knows who's going to play. Whereas at club, you're pretty, sure who's going to play most of the time. So it's just a very, competitive nature where everybody's, working, as hard as they can to get that starting spot. You have to be ready when your number is called on. And I think everybody here, knows that. Everybody knows what their job is. And, it's all good, healthy, competition.
United States is 2 days away from the first game of its Copa journey, which we hope is a long one. We start against Bolivia in Arlington, Texas. Team you actually played against scored on in your international debut, May 2018. The United States are coming off a devastating 5-1 loss to Colombia. Then that valuable 1-1 tie against powerhouse Brazil. The mentality and the tactics were very different between the two games. I've asked this of a couple of players, but what's your take when you think about it? What's the real US men's national team and why? Which performance really reflects what we should expect?
Yeah, 100% the Brazil game. I don't know what was going on in Colombia. Don't know what guys' mindset were, but like you said, it was so day and night, the Colombia and Brazil game, just our approach to the game, our mentality. It was just 10 times better against Brazil. And I think that's truly, the real us, the real US. And we know in a tournament like this, we have to be at our absolute best if we want to have a chance at winning this thing. Everybody has to be dialed in. So, hopefully a lot more games like that will come.
I mean, there's two things about that Brazil game that I want to ask you about. I mean, you've mentioned grit up top, Josh. You mentioned it a couple of times. And the second performance was so bloody gritty. From Christian Pulisic at the beginning, just bringing in the hard fouls, to Tim Weah steaming in to back him up when the argy-bargy was going down. I mean, Tim Ream, just so magnificent. Joe Scally, ferocious, a right back in a way that you knew in your heart he would be. But the first game, the grit was absent. I mean, it was the mentality. The players talked after the game, Chris Richards, just about how woeful the mentality was and now how it needs to be resummoned. How do you have grit one game and then just not the other? Where does that suddenly come from? Because you can't just acquire grit at the click of a finger, can you?
No, I think it needs to be the mentality and overall message going into the game. And we all know it wasn't acceptable going into that Colombia match. And yeah, it was good, from the boys to turn around like that against Brazil. We needed to do that. There was no other, option. And the boys definitely responded and did well in that game. So we definitely need, like I said, if we want to have any chance of doing well in this tournament, we have to have that every single game.
I mean, the football was also so much more pragmatic in a good way, in a way good international football is against Brazil. What do you take from that? The mid block, the picking your moments to charge forward.
Yeah, I mean, they have very skillful players. Obviously, like you said, they're a powerhouse. So it's not always going to be beautiful football on our side, but they had chances, we had chances. It could have gone either way, to be honest. But like you said, against a team like that, that's how it's going to be. And we just need to take those chances that we missed.
The Copa now looms ahead of us. It can be a super challenging gauntlet of a tournament. It's one that Pelé never won. Diego Maradona never won. As we sit here, just hours before it gets underway, on US soil for just the second time in its 108-year history, what's your mindset? What will it be when you walk out with the squad of that tunnel in Arlington where that national anthem is being played? What will you be telling yourself?
That it's a big moment, and we need to show that grit and kind of firepower and show everybody what the U.S. is about. We need to stick together as a team if we want to have, a chance of winning this thing. And hopefully we send a message to everybody, what this team is about.
In your words, what would you say this team is about, that we want the world to know this team is about?
We want people to know that we have a lot of good young players coming up at the moment that have that grit, have that passion to play for that crest. And we'll do whatever it takes to win games, and hopefully we represent that this tournament.
What does success in this tournament look like for you then?
I mean, we talked about it as a group, and I think going into any tournament, you want to have that goal of winning. Like I said, there's some of the best teams in the world, so to do that, we have to be at our absolute very best every single game. And we might not have the most skillful players in this tournament, but as a team, we need to be better as a whole. And so hopefully we can bring that.
I get out of bed, Josh, every morning and know immediately how many days it is to the World Cup in the United States on home turf. It's 719 as we sit here today. Are you guys aware of that? Are you thinking about that? Are you even letting yourself? I know footballers have that adage, just the next game, only the next game, so many games to play between now and then. Does the 2020, because for fans, the Copa and the World Cup, Men's World Cup, are just completely inextricably. It's like this 2 years in which it's happening, everything we've always dreamed of. Does the World Cup even mildly loom in the Josh Sargent mindset?
Yeah, of course. I think, to all of us, that's our overall goal, what we all want to get to is a World Cup. But at the same time, Copa America is such a big tournament. You can't you can't just pass it up. It's huge, and it's a huge test for us. And to, almost quote unquote get ready, for the World Cup. It's a massive test for us. It's a big tournament, and we definitely want to see what we can do against teams like this, and hopefully, win.
You have a 2.5-year-old daughter now. In another, let's say, 20 or 25 years, when you and Tim Ream both decide at the same time that we're going to retire from this sport, what do you want to be able to tell her about your career? What do you dream that you will have accomplished by the end of it?
Ooh, it's a deep question. As a striker, I want to be able to tell her, I've scored in World Cups, I've scored in Champions League, the best of the best. And, that's definitely what my aim is.
So to just win the World Cup with the USA and to win the Champions League with Norwich, is that I'm paraphrasing that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, mate, I will raise my Michelob Ultra to that, to you, to your team, to your family, Josh Sargent, to a world where Wayne Rooney is a power-hitting first baseman for the Cardinals. Thank you, mate.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Courage.